I would have conversations with God, conversations with energies, but I didn't want to tell anybody. Ever since I was young, I was a questioner. I was a seeker. People were like, do what I say and there will be no problem. So I was able to create personas, I guess, masks that I would wear in different settings so that I wouldn't disrupt peace.
Tell me what it feels like to have to wear those masks.
Sometimes I would even dumb down my responses. I would dim my lights.
What eventually led you to be tired of these masks?
After the pandemic, I also ended up losing my job. I had to move back in with my parents. I was single and the money was tight.
The combo. The combo to go inside.
Right? That is the shaking that the universe does. The true authentic way to live is as yourself, not giving a F what anybody cares. Having Kiah growing up, and I love her. I care for her. She's brought me through so much. But Kiah now is taking me to another level of experience. This feels like my finale. You really don't need to figure out anything. You need to open up, drop into yourself, and listen.
Welcome to the first true episode of the Inner Light Alignment podcast. Today, we are joined by Kiah Husbands, a spiritual life coach, Reiki master, and business consultant. If you've been feeling overwhelmed, this episode is providing you the exact tools you need to stop dimming your light and shed the mask that you've been wearing for others. In this episode, you are going to learn how to properly take care of your fourfold being: physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual, and step joyfully into the life you truly desire. Let's go. Kiah Husband. For the people that are overwhelmed, just like I've been overwhelmed, what is going to change in their life if they take the time to listen to this episode and take into practice everything that you're about to share with us?
Well, for one, I think hearing people have conversations about things that I guess are similar maybe in your life experience or with like your friends or your family, it's almost like it grounds it in reality, so it doesn't feel far from you. So we are all on an equal playing field. Anything that I've done or I have or someone else has or has done is available to anybody. And so really, I hope more connection and not feeling alone in the situation, and that if they are feeling overwhelmed, there are options and your mind is very limited. So opening up to other assistance, maybe even that you don't fully understand, whether it's spirit, whatever you want to call it, the universe, then you get to kind of give that stress and overwhelm to them and your team can assist you. So you really don't need to figure out anything. You need to open up, drop into yourself, and listen. And stillness is the best thing to do after listening to something like this. You get to kind of just sit with what you received, and maybe you'll receive guidance on what your next step is for your situation.
A few seconds ago, when I mentioned your name, I said Kiah Husband. But I remember when we met virtually for the first time, then your name was Kiah before the information came through. So I would love for you to actually take us to Kiah when she was 5, 6, 7. What do we need to know about her to understand the woman that we are listening to today?
Yes. So my family is Caribbean. So my mom is from Trinidad and Tobago. My dad is from Barbados, but I was raised in the United States. So I'm first generation. And, I feel like Kiah at that age was just trying to figure out what was happening. People sounded a certain type of way at home and had certain type of way of doing things. And then I would go to school and it would be something completely different. And then around that age, I was going to a lot of private schools, private religious schools. So Baptist school, then I went to a Catholic school, but I went to an Episcopal church. And so I was all types of confused about information. It just felt like people were like, do what I say and there will be no problems. But ever since I was young, I was a questioner. I was a seeker. I always wanted to know why. And so that's usually where I would get in trouble. I wanted to know why. Who said these things? I'm reading a Bible and I'm getting 5 different interpretations of the same thing, but none of them feel right, because what I didn't know growing up was I would have conversations with God. I would have conversations with energies that felt very warm and comforting, but I didn't want to tell anybody because, you'd be deemed as crazy. And so from then, I'm the oldest of 4, so I'm the figure it outer. And I was always responsible for my younger siblings. So I felt like I had to mature relatively quickly, especially interacting with stuff in day-to-day life of my parents have one way of doing things, yet still at home we have another, or at school we have another way of doing things. So I was able to create personas, I guess, masks that I would wear in different settings so that I wouldn't disrupt peace or cause any issues, or maybe even to kind of quiet the voice in my head that was saying, this information is incorrect or there's another way of doing things. Ever since I was young, I always I always had confidence that if I didn't know the answer, I could figure it out or it will come. And that confidence sometimes can shake adults a little bit because they're like, you're too smart for your own age. Or like, I would put opinions on adult things and it would seem so simple to me of shifts that they could make in their own life so they wouldn't be so unhappy. I always wanted people to just be happy, no conflict. So yeah, I just created whatever persona I needed just to get by. And then as I began to get older and older, so the name shift really didn't happen until like the 30s when I started to really get involved with interesting experience of channeling, meeting source through channeling. And they explained that yeah, technically the pronunciation of my name is supposed to be Kiah. So you can imagine my head, I'm like, why would you wait 30 years to tell me that? But through probably a year after that, I really started to understand that my soul did have a choice in the matter of having Kiah growing up, and I love her. I care for her. She's brought me through so much. But Kiah now is taking me to another level of experience. I've been human before. We all have. And so this feels like my finale. And my finale feels like Kiah is the true embodiment of all of the mastery through all of the experiences that I've had in life. And this is just the path that my soul decided to take in this lifetime.
You mentioned the mask. Can you tell me what it feels like to have to wear those masks and what eventually led you to be like, I'm tired of these masks?
So I would say the masks are more of like a defense mechanism. And so with practice through repetition over time, you just get really good at it. It doesn't feel challenging in the moments because you know that it will keep at bay whatever it is, harm that may come or that my mind perceives may come if I reveal my true self. And so, yeah, I didn't ever feel overwhelmed. It's almost like in the States, they call it code switching. When you're at
Yeah,
work,
I
you're
know.
one way. Yeah. And then as an African American, well, perceived African American,
Exactly.
code switching is a thing. And so I was dealing with it my whole entire life. I've been dealing with it. Even now, I still find moments where I have to be like, whoa, was that me? So it's almost like you get so good, you don't even recognize you're even doing it when you're doing it, but you know that it does serve a purpose in certain instances. Actors are phenomenal at it. They get
Yes,
paid a lot of
true.
money to do
Yeah.
it. But us humans, we do it all the time, depending on who you are with. And so I do believe there is certain versions of yourself that are ideal for certain situations. But when it came to like my self-expression, like my interests, I've always been interested in knowing everything before there was really AI and all these things.
Yeah.
Encyclopedia, look it up. Like I would ask 1,000 questions and people would be like, I don't know. And I'm like, why wouldn't you? The information is out here. There are books. I
How
loved.
come you're not interested in that?
How can you not be interested? And so that used to like rack my brain. So in order to not be known as like the nerd or like the know-it-all, sometimes I would even kind of dumb down my responses or even refrain from asking certain questions because I didn't want everybody to feel a certain type of way. To protect other people is what I thought. So I think that that's just something that you kind of have to get good at knowing when it's necessary, but the best way to live, the true authentic way to live is as yourself, not giving a F what anybody cares. And because of the programming that we've had through society, because of my cultural background of masking and all
Yes,
those things, I'm
plays a lot.
slowly shedding all of those layers. And so I have to be patient with myself. I have a loving partner who I'm able to check in with. I'm like, did that feel? Because sometimes I don't know. So if you have people around you that truly do know you, your true self, your childlike energy, those are the people that you can use to help you kind of like remove some of those masks. And then it'll feel so much more lighter, freer. Like you don't have to prepare anything or you don't have to fake it. really, in certain
Yes.
cases. But it's been a gradual process, I'll say. After decades of doing it one way, it's only understandable that we also need to find some sort of, I guess, excitement or even curiosity about the process of unmasking. So Kiah at 5 or 6 is not me, Kiah, now, but we are an integrated version of self living simultaneously all at once. So I do have to love her and take her where I need to go, and she helps me to relax. But Kiah is that girl, is that woman. And so when I get
Yes,
to
yes,
show
yes.
up, I don't need to diminish my light. That is something that's also tied to this masking of feeling like you might be, and it might be subconscious, because sometimes we think, well, that's an ego thing. Like, I don't believe I'm all that, or that I shine brighter than others. No, I know I'm a light. People give you the responses, right? When you,
Yes.
without you even trying. So I would dim my light. So now this version of me is getting more comfortable step rooms and even on podcasts and things and being
Yes.
seen.
What are the information that you've been exposed to and that at the time triggered Kiah to be like, there's something off of this, there's something, and that
Yeah.
actually led her to ask all those questions?
Yeah. All of the rules and the rituals and the fear that was put into things, there was always a consequence, a punishment, hell, heaven and hell. And if you didn't do this, like, you were doomed. You were born a sinner. Things like that. I was like, gosh, like, if I were God, the universe, this is me at 5 or 6, if I were God, I wouldn't be this mean to people. I wouldn't tell them that they need to repent and they're born a sinner and they're going to hell if they do anything outside of what this old book that had like 35 different versions and interpretations, and that type of stuff would trigger me. It would actually make me pretty frustrated, because in Sunday school or in school, Catholic school, I would ask these questions of like, well, why would God say they love us all and then damn us to hell? Why would they be upset if another man loved another man? It didn't make sense. So questioning got me into a lot of trouble. But what I felt in my body receiving the information was true, that there's a lot of untruths mixed in with something like the Bible. So with Baptist, Catholic, they use the same book, but other religions might use other ones. It's all a remix. It's a remix. There are different prophets. There's magic in there. Like, all the things that I was interested in exploring more, there was always like this door, and they would shut it in my face and say, no, don't question that. We don't question God. And so it just felt like it was really disempowering. It wasn't fun or enjoyable.
Listening to you actually brought me back once again to my own story. I was born and raised in Cameroon, Central Africa, and I remember I used to steal coins from my big sister drawer to actually go to Bible studies. Not because I was that much interested in Bible studies, because I want to be with my homies. We were like 9,
Yes.
10. But in there, I remember being so interested, asking all those questions, but being punished for my questions. And I wouldn't understand, but how come we come here to learn, but we cannot ask all those questions? And once again, you had all those limitations, all those fears, all those things that made me feel some type of way. And that's why when I was 14, I swear I remember that day, I was in a car. I was the only kid out of 6, still is, who never got baptized. And at that age, at 14, I was about to start that process. And one day when my mom was dropping me at school, I remember I told her, Mom, I'm not going to go anymore to those Bible studies. It doesn't make sense to me. And I cannot ask all my questions. And I was shocked that my mom didn't beat me that night. You know, because that was a regular thing. If you try to do something different, you're gonna get something. Comes a moment where you are tired with all those information about fear and all that. How did it happen to you, and how did you navigate through that?
So this is where I know that the universe, they do their thing. So I grew up really in the church, like in an acolyte. My grandma was in choir. My mom did vacation Bible school. So you were right when you said the social aspect. I loved the social aspect. That was why I went. And to look cute, to dress nice.
Exactly, because Sunday you have to put your best
Your
clothes.
Sunday best, exactly.
Yeah.
So really what happened was I ended up moving, and so we had to find a new church. And through that process, there was like a gap where we weren't really doing anything specific. We were going to some churches, kind of dibbling and dabbling and looking for things. And by then I was probably probably like 14, 15. But it gave me like a break from church and schools and all those things. And I was in a public school by that time. And so then I get to kind of think outside of that bubble. And I ended up kind of cherry picking the aspects that I liked. What I didn't know is those aspects that I liked drew me later to spirituality, because there really isn't like a set way to be or to do things. It's more about vibration. It was more about how things felt in my body, like listening to my intuition. Like those were the things that I started to kind of stumble into. So it was like through my curiosity and through my secret research. I wasn't telling anybody.
Secret research.
I was finding other
what were you
options.
doing? What were you doing during those secret research? Walk me to those moments.
At the time, it was really a lot of conspiracy theories. It was a lot of stuff about healing. Like I wanted to understand how Yeshua, always felt like Jesus was a cool dude. And they just put him on this pedestal and did what they did. The biggest marketing play with religion was Jesus, Yeshua. But Jesus felt like a regular guy. And so I was always really interested in, how did he do all these things? Because he always said, anything that I can do, you can do too. So I'm like, opened it up for me. So I started to research some of the things that he was doing. And then it led me to like modalities and, like Reiki. And then, all of these things of like commanding, magic. And fantasy and sci-fi is my thing. So I was looking into extraterrestrials. I'm like, nah, if I was God, I would not only do Earth. I would always put myself in that position of God, even before I knew I was God. So I would say like, no, I'm not, I wouldn't be boring. If I had all this power, I'm putting beings on 35 million universes. I'm doing a remix over here. We got people flying. Like that was the land that I played in when I would be in my bubble, whether it's on the internet or in a book. And so that totally kind of just became my escape, or in a sense, how I practiced some sort of spirituality was through the curiosity and then deciding what I wanted to accept as true for myself.
What is the thing surprised you the most on that journey about yourself? The moment you started doing all those experiences, by the time that you become grown up and you come closer and closer to the woman that you are now, what are the things that you discovered about yourself and that you had to hold on to in order to not go back to the version that was pleasing others, making them satisfied where you couldn't find your own satisfaction?
Yeah. Learning to believe in myself and my abilities. And so prayer is really just talking to the universe out loud. And so I was always talking to them, and they would reassure me of that I could do anything. And the only way that you can kind of reinforce something like that is to try things and see what happens. And so as I've gone through life, I've realized that anything that I put my mind to, that I say I'm going to do, like I do it. Now, there might be a learning curve involved, but somehow things always work out. A large part of my expansion has also been through travel. So I have always just been an avid traveler, and I would just start going places by myself, like different countries, and people thought I was crazy and almost would try to project fear. But that was, to me, the ultimate test of I can do anything that I put my mind to, and I can have a really good time doing it. And so I could witness other people's projections of fear, of like, hey, are you sure? Like, I wouldn't do something like that. And I would think, well, I'm not you and you're not me, but yes, we're one. So maybe I'm doing this for the both of us. So I would say like it's definitely been gradual, incremental things, but the universe is always conspiring in your favor, whether you know it consciously or not. But when you do know it, then you can kind of relax and relinquish the sense of control that you would like to have, because you really aren't in control of anything.
When you say that you were talking to the universe and they were always reassuring you, for the people that may not be accustomed to the universe is reassuring her, sending her an email, Is it like a WhatsApp thing? Can you walk us through that process of reassuring? Because
Yes.
I know you already told me part of your gift is your ability to hear things, but how does it work? And how, because in this society, the second, especially when you come from a religious background, the second you can hear stuff, it's like now you just won your ticket to, to go and see someone special, a
Yeah.
psychiatrist or something like that. So how does it work?
Yes. So the universe is, well, source, God, they're all the same, is always communicating you through your life. That's how they communicate. And so it's not just hearing. These are, of course, extrasensory perception, psychic abilities. If you've heard of the clairs, claircognizance, clairsentience, all of these different things are ways that the universe communicates with you. So some people might go into a room and say, like, it feels like the vibe is off. So that's just an indication of what it's like when you can feel energy. And so the universe does similar things. They speak through people as messengers. Yeah. Back in the day, they called them prophets, like psychics, all these people. There's different vibrations of people that do these things. I'm not saying they don't have these gifts, but their intention is what is key in, if the message is something you should be looking at. But people have always, whether it's heard things, they might see visions, they might taste things that trigger certain memories. So it's not always a voice that's blatantly talking. Sometimes it might be a book falls on the ground and I open it up and it says exactly what I needed that day. For my partner, it's license plates on cars, like full words. He will get sentences on the way to go to places. So this is how you develop your relationship with the universe. You have to listen and just observe, because they are always communicating to you in the manner that's in the highest vibration for you. So you might not hear voices, right? Like at times it might be more auditory. Some people might hear things through music, lyrics, and they know what it's for. And that's why when people go and say, what did this message mean? The person will say, well, what do you think it meant? Because it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. It matters what comes to you as a result of that message. So yeah, I think the first step, definitely, like, maybe look into the clairs, the claircognizance, clairsentience, all those, and see which one feels like that's kind of something I do. Now, claircognizance is something I have, where that's how I got the name Know-It-All. I would just know things. Not because I wanted to. Even now, I just know things. How do you know how to do that? I don't know. But sometimes it drops in and so subtle, and you're so used to it because you've been doing it your whole life, you might not categorize it as a gift, but it is. And it is the universe communicating to you.
Well, I think for the people who are not familiar, they just got the whole information. Thank you for breaking it down. Continuing here on your story. So by the time you identify that there were certain informations that were not serving you, and you also realize that you had to hold on to your ability to trust yourself in order to keep changing, keep improving. But because we had multiple prior to this podcast, I know that came the moment where you met Source through Elliot. So what I want you now is to maybe paint the picture of how was your life right before you got introduced to Elliot. What are the things of your life that led you to be like, you know what, this thing that I'm hearing from this man saying that he's channeling Source, all that is, was, and never shall be, is actually making sense. Let me book a call.
Yeah. So I ended up really focusing on looking into spirituality after the pandemic. And once you get into modes of solitude, I'm sure everyone has had some type of expansion or at least some type of revelation. Through that, I ended up really practicing some of the things like meditation, all these things, because I didn't have anything better to do. And at the time, I also ended up losing my job. I had to move back in with my parents. I was single and the money was tight. So I literally had nothing better to do.
The combo to go inside.
Right? The ultimate combo. Some of us, that is the shaking that the universe does to course correct, to get you right back on your path. And so that was my experience. And so through that, I ended up getting more into spirituality. And, that's when I let my inner child of like, these were the things that I was looking at when I was little. But back then they didn't have certain information on the internet like that. And now they do. So through my search, I remember just watching a lot of it. I was thirsty for the information. Anything that I could get, I just wanted to see what's up. What is this person saying? What does this have to do with me or life? And I remember one of the things I was thinking is, wow, where are all the brown people in this? Because I didn't know that, like, my idea of channeling came through things like Abraham Hicks or Lee Carroll. Like it was kind of like narrow. And so I had put those people in a lane by themselves as those are the spiritual people. Subconsciously, that's something that we do without even realizing it, separating ourselves. And so I asked the universe, this is me talking to them, like, listen, you're going to have to show me the variety in this. Like, I don't want to just be praying all day. I want to have fun and turn up, and I still want to help people at the same time. And so that's when people started to come in. And so I saw a video of Elliot channeling, and something in me just said, hit this guy up. And at the time, I had been putting a lot of readings and things on ice because people were charging an arm and a leg. And I was like, I ain't got it. But I'm like, maybe I'll just add another one to my list. And so I reached out, ended up getting a session. It was affordable, and the timing worked out that I could get a session right away. And so from the first moment that I spoke with them, I didn't quite understand it. It was more of just curiosity. I was really just curious. I'm like, what y'all got to tell me, right? Like,
Tell me something that I don't know.
Tell me something I don't know. I was open. And that is the best way to show up to these things rather than with a chip on your shoulder. But it depends. The universe is going to meet you wherever you are. And where they met me, I was open and ready. So from the first session, it was like, all right, we got to get you happy, healthy, wealthy, all these types of things. And from there, it's just been a whirlwind of me just following the guidance. Now, I have freedom of choice. I'm not forced to do anything I don't want to do, but I know what I trusted the messages that I received from Source, because Source is different from Elliot. They're two different energies.
Yes.
Everything works out for me. So he's not the only person that channels Source. There are other people that do channel Source as well, different degrees, but at the highest apex he does. And so the information is clear and it's direct. And that's how I love receiving my guidance.
That's where we all love to go, to be like, okay, doctor, tell me what's going on in this universe. I just want us to take a minute here to maybe reflect, because we are in an era where we have cell phones, computer, AI, and all those things. When you think about Elliot and Diane's journey, what they had to do in order to be able to help us awaken, what are the characteristics that you are grateful for that they had to hold on during all those years, so we can all do this? You know, do you often think about them in that way?
Definitely patience, because they've been doing this a while, and faith, like unwavering faith, especially because faith is really believing in the unseen. You have to believe it for the thing to happen. And that's the hardest thing to do, because our minds want the proof first before we feel like we can fully lean into it. I really admire that they've stayed the course for so long and had unwavering faith. Also, just the compassion for the individuals that they've come across, because I know like it is a little bit of a revolving door in this land of spirituality in general, because it can be very uncomfortable to go against the norm, against the grain, to be talking about things that literally are being demonized in media or through other people or shamed. When it comes to doing these kinds of things and being really like just grounded enough to not really give a what's going on the outside and still continue, right? I feel like family, the interaction with family is also that awkward piece. Like, it's one thing to present yourself as this to other people, but the people who have known you even before you were on this are like, what the heck is going on with you? They're witnessing transformation that's miraculous. Elliot's gone through his transformation. Diane's gone through her transformation. And so they've kind of done this together. And so I've also gotten to witness them with their relationship and how they've supported each other and how she has led him and how he has been in the head in the relationship. And so it's like, okay, I have examples. I have real life examples that this works. And then it does help the mental that they're black and white. The universe is very intentional about the people that they drive into our lives. And so I've been able to use that as like, okay, everything's all good, relax, we can have a good time, and we can do this work.
And we think those are the characteristics that all the spiritual life coaches must take on this journey. They had to demonstrate a different level of faith in us, in the universe, for all these things to happen. So we are grateful for them. And of course, we are grateful for you. We love you very much. We are so happy that this conversation is taking place. What can you tell us about Quantum Matrix Center?
Quantum Matrix Center really was started by Elliot Jackson. So it's been around for a little while, but really this year is the year that Source has guided us to really blow things up, really expand, gather a group of coaches from all over the world who have been trained for years, and have us assisting the planet. Like there's a lot of work to be done. We don't ever have to think like, oh, because one person is doing it, oh, they got it, I don't need to do it. No, there's enough work for everyone. There's 8 billion plus people on the planet, and there are a lot of people that are hurting, they're in need of guidance and the truth. Quantum Matrix is supposed to be that source of truth, that place where people can go to get what it is that they need, whether it's to have a session with Elliot for channeling source, whether it's to meet with a spiritual life coach, or it's to dibble in some certifications, get training on different modalities. So it's really expanding to be able to share all of the teachings that have come through books written by Elliot Eli Jackson, specifically the Sapiential Discourses, which is really all you need in terms of your research for spirituality and really understanding how to be human and how to live your best life. So all of that has been really blown out to be able to support as many people as we can across the globe. And then, of course, there's this network of amazing, talented coaches, right, who have been preparing for years for this. And now the doors are wide open. And so Source is going to be bringing people in, and then we're also going to be expanding. So whether it's through healing and wellness centers, so like, for example, myself, I'm opening a healing and wellness center in Amelia, Ohio. And so through the guidance, I'm like, wow, I would have never thought I would
imagine.
do it. Never, like, no, not even in
Like
line
if
with my
someone saw
degree.
you like 6 years ago, hey, by the way, you're going to have a healing center in Ohio, you'll be like, I think you're high.
Yeah, I don't know how, but through my experiences of how fascinated I am with the transformation that people can go through when they do have a central place, like that's really what churches have been. That's what these healing centers are, in a sense, to kind of assist with. So there are clinics and different things. Healing centers are these alternatives for people to get what they need from a wellness perspective. A lot of it's non-invasive, right? A lot of it is natural. And those are the things that are coming back to our society. So I get to be a part of that. And so I'm so excited, not just with building mine, but I get to help others build theirs in other countries and states. And so the expansion is massive for Quantum Matrix and just for all of the individuals involved, because I know we'll all kind of branch out and really do our own thing.
How has your life been transformed through this process of spirituality?
The word spirituality even can be triggering for people because it automatically puts people in a box. They've created a box. We've all created some sort of box. I think spirituality, it's just been a way to emphasize the importance of having your spirit be in the lead of everything that you're doing. Because there's 4 aspects of you: your spiritual, your mental, your emotional, and your physical. But most of us are leading with mental stuff. Mental has been driving the ship, and like we wonder why things are like off. But direction through spirit, because you are a spirit first, you're a spirit hanging out in a human body this go around, but you're eternal. So the guidance from your spirit is true, it's easy, it's fun, right? We're here to have a good time. So all of the stuff that's happening in your life, the challenges and all of these things, right? In the beginning, I said everything is happening for you. Even the challenging things, it's because your soul is here to expand and eventually return to the oneness after it's accumulated all the data it's wanted or had all of the fun that it wanted, right? So the spirituality piece, I feel like people just need to kind of detach, or maybe almost kind of do your best to shift out of what you think spirituality is. All it is the title that we put to assist people with understanding that everything we do is going to be spirit first. So I'll give an example. I was in corporate, right? I did the degrees and did all these things, and my mental did a pretty damn good job. Like I got far, I was making decent money and whatever, but I was always just really unhappy, unsatisfied. And people would say things like, how can you be unhappy? You made it, right? But that feeling, that this ain't it feeling, is your soul's indication to you that it's time for us to shift into a different experience, something that's more in line with our expansion, which was the original plan in the first place. So everything has happened for a reason. I did what I needed to do. But if you're really trying to get into really just trying to figure out how to get your life together, you know, just like I'm not fully happy with my partner or my job or whatever it is, that is how the universe is talking to you to get you to course correct into a lane that truly will make you happy and excited. So that should be your first inkling of, do I wake up and I'm truly excited to get up and do? Because if you're not, then you have some work, right? You have some work, and it's not going to be hard and difficult. But in the lane of spirituality, now you get to say, okay, if I'm spirit, I have a connection to something outside of myself. I don't have to come up with it or figure it out. But some of the information they might give you is more of like, okay, let's see if she's listening, if she's going to just kind of like relax and surrender. So then you begin to play this like game with yourself, and you're just seeing what happens. And so the moment you stop taking these things so seriously is when you can open up to expand and receive whatever guidance, whether it's through a coach or a channeler, or maybe it's your next door neighbor, or maybe it's your child. Right? Remember, children come into this and they haven't had any of the experiences that we've had yet. So they're untainted. It's a fresh soul. They're just here to live their best life and explore, wow. Right? So you might receive all of what you need simply by opening up and really not getting too hung up on the word spirituality itself.
We need a pause here because there's so many stuff that you say. My brain went to so many places. I don't even know where to start. The first thing that I'm going to say is you just mentioned child. So I have a son. He's turning 11 next month. And let me tell you, that boy came in my life like a rocket. And he hit me so hard that it took me 9 to 10 years old to find myself being this man that I am now. And this says a lot about how far I was, how the matrix got me, how the program was deep installed in me. I remember when my son was 3, 4, 5 years old, whenever you would ask him his name, he would not just say Adama Guillaume. So my name is Brice Guillaume. And I always loved it because it sounds kind of white. You know, you have no Africanity in it. To the point where when I came to Belgium in 2009 for my studies, when I would go to the bank for my appointment, and they would expect Brice Guillaume, but I would be there, but they would say, oh no, we already have someone at 3 p.m. So I would wait. And then 15 minutes later, I would hear, Mr. Guillaume is still not here. Because Guillaume really like sounds white. But the reality is my name is Guillaume Nzioke Brice. And Nzioke is typically Cameroonian, but for the context of the call, we're going to put it into African. And I never liked it growing up. I never liked it. It was like, when I see the white stuff on TV, it always looked nicer than what we have here in Cameroon, Africa. Let me just identify with this. But my son would always give his full name all the time. And I remember thinking, damn, this guy really loves his name. See what I mean? I was like, wow. And now I also put that name in my mail. When I fill forms online, I put that thing in my name because he came with that lesson. Like, hey, it's time for you to love the full you. And I even till this day, when I'm talking about, I feel tears coming to my eyes because I was like, wow, that's how far I was. So that's the first thing that I want to say. The second thing that I want to say to you is, you mentioned that fear that people may have, either it's towards the word spirituality or the context, but sometimes also towards the new life that is opening to them, and they can see the things that they have to let go of in order to enter that life. What would you say to those people that are afraid to step into that new life? Maybe in the past, they lost things that they really wanted, so they are now afraid to step into the new because what if I also lose this?
Fear isn't real. It's false evidence appearing real. A lot of this fear that people might have is probably from either past experience or maybe something they've seen happen. But the truth is, when you do something different or when you do something, you really don't know what the outcome is going to be. Now, from a safety standpoint, like people got families, people got kids, like it's understandable, but it's almost like that fear, because it's also not real, is going to keep you exactly where you are, which is where you don't want to be. So you really do have to kind of step into this level of, how bad do I really want something different, right? Because if you don't do anything different, you're just going to keep getting the same result. Insanity, right? Doing the same thing. So the fear really is probably going to keep lingering. It's not ever really going to go away. Like even when you do things like this, no matter how big you get, there are superstars that still get scared, still are fearful. So accepting that there's always going to be some type of fear, something lingering. Lower vibrations love to whisper that stuff to us to keep us stuck and keep our vibration the same. So you're going to have to want to change the thing, the situation so bad that you'll have to be okay with, yes, things could end up bad, but they can also end up really good, right? Look at both potentials of the situations and then choose which one you want to focus your energy on. So you don't have to be positive 100% of the time to shift vibration. If you can even land around 52% of positivity, right? Of like, yeah, this could go wrong, but this could also go really right.
Yes.
That might be the indication, or at least the what you can tell your mind to put it at ease to allow you to still take action towards what it is that you want and desire. And understand there is never really a failure. Like you are never failing, you're never messing things up, because you always learn something. You always become a little bit different than before. So even if it's the same exact thing that you're doing, the version of you 5 years ago is completely different to the version of you now. And so you do really need to have the confidence that, like, okay, things can be different. Things can be different. So yes, it is challenge, but through practice and repetition, you will keep looking fear in the eyes and saying, okay, and do it anyway, right? Do it scared. So it also helps to have a few people around. You don't really want to be telling everybody your business, a few specific individuals that truly do want the best for you, right? Because those are the individuals that will remind you, hey, you said you wanted this, but you're saying you're not going to do it. Then what are we talking about here, right? The goal is to help each other expand, keep moving forward, keep taking actions that are in alignment with what it is you truly desire. Otherwise, you wouldn't have gotten the idea to do the thing anyway.
Hope for the people that are listening, I hope you have a pen and a paper and you are taking notes. We started this conversation talking about feeling overwhelmed, and now you were just giving advices to people that may feel fear or stuck. Now, you have a lot of information out there when it comes to spirituality. The other day I was on TikTok and I saw someone saying, put some salt in your wallet in order to attract money. I was like, okay. I read the books. I have the books here. I read them and I never saw that part. So let's say you have someone that, Kiah, I listen to what you're saying, but you know what? This reality, it's not moving. I spoke out loud. It's not changing. For that person who only have these few seconds that you're going to use to talk, what are the practices or what are the things that you will advise that person to try so the person can feel and experience some changes? And for how long? Because people all want to know, okay, but for how long do I need to do that?
How long? Yeah.
For how long?
That is the mind, right? Wanting these answers and wanting results right away. But anything really worth having, there's a process in it. Otherwise, you wouldn't appreciate it and you'd probably screw it up and you'd lose it and you'd be right back where you started, right? So I think first getting clear on what do you want, right? What is exactly the thing that you want? And then from there, you can create a plan or a roadmap for yourself on how you're going to get there. So sometimes people forget that middle part and they're like, I want the thing. Well, the thing requires for you to be at a certain vibration. It requires for you to have a certain level of understanding, right? And you wouldn't have that understanding if you didn't go through the process. So there is a little bit of respect for the process there, but in the midst of all this, right, once you've set your plan and you know the habits that you're going to make consistent, because it's self-discipline and consistency.
Habits.
So those are the reasons.
Write it down 7 times. Habits.
Your self-discipline and consistency, right? And these things, it's a form of showing yourself love. When you say you're going to do something, the integrity and doing it, that's love. So all of these little incremental things that you're doing after you've set your plan, they do contribute to the final result. Now, how quickly you get there is a matter of, yes, the consistency, of course, and the self-discipline, right? But that idea of quantum leaping, collapsing time, essentially like doing something so quick that all of a sudden now you're in a different place, right? It happens when you are not consciously like studying it, right? You have to let it go. You have to trust that the steps that you're taking are the steps. And if you need other steps, you'll receive the guidance. But how do I feel in the moment. Because if you feel awful going through all this stuff, you feel miserable, you're still talking negative, you're impatient, all these things, you're creating a vortex that's going to keep your vibration where you're at and where you are in your situation. So the planning part now is for you to understand, okay, these are the steps I'm going to take. The habits, right? There are specific habits. You should be taking care of yourself. You should be sleeping, resting, eating well. Focus on those things so that you can be assisted in the process. Now, you don't know. The universe is amazing at surprising us with gifts, right? So you might think you want this thing, but you're really chasing the feeling that's associated with this thing. Now, the universe, how amazing they are, they're going to say, okay, we're going to give her that or something better in its place. And so you almost have to get excited about the fact that it's coming, it's happening. That relentlessness, someone like superstar, Kanye West is coming to mind, right? Of how much he said he was going to do something, and people were like, they weren't really trying to hear it. They called him crazy, all those things, right?
And
regardless of what he has done and the choices he's made, right? Everything that's happened, he said it, he declared it, right? And he had faith in that itself. So this is the process that we're each going through on an individual basis to be masters in our lifetime. And so all of the little things that we think we want, I need money right now. Okay, well, what's happening in your life right now for you to be bringing it? What are the avenues, right? Because you can't just sit there, do nothing and want it to come, right? People don't appreciate free things. That's the truth of it. There has to be some level of effort, output, energetic investment in order for you to receive the result that you want. And then you want it compounded with interest, right? So be realistic about the energy and the way that things work. Create your plan and stay consistent with all of the individual actions until it materializes. That is what you need to do, because like I said, the universe wants to give you that or something better in its place. Now, you will fall off. You're going to fall off. There'll be days where you're like, I was supposed to work out.
Tell them.
I didn't do it. I haven't taken my vitamins, all these things. But it's not the falling off. It's you getting back into the routine that truly shows the universe through your energy that you are ready for more. So when you fall off and you accept defeat, that's what you get. You accept defeat, but you get back on and you say, okay, I have my plan. I know what my intentions are. I'm taking care of myself regularly, and I trust and have faith that I do deserve the very best. So it is a little bit of mental reprogramming, because I feel like the mental is the biggest hurdle for people. We know in our hearts and souls what we really want, but we're like, well, I got kids, I got a job, I got to do all these things. Yes, right? And you can still create something new while you're kind of, lingering in your current situation. And then eventually it becomes a choice. Do you want to go back to what you were doing before in that comfort zone? Or do you want to step into this new version of you, expansive? You've never really met her. You don't even really know what's happening over there, but it looks fun over there and it feels really good. So let me go see something.
You've been in the kitchen. You're cooking. You are, I swear, it's amazing. I love every single word that you said. And since you are cooking, I'm going to join you in the kitchen. And this is something that I want to say. Habits. Repetition is the thing. If you focus on the habits of the person that you are trying to embody to become, you write down the habits of the person and you focus on nothing else but that, and accept the fact that you are going to fall off, you've done half of the work. It's just simple. I swear, because we are habits creatures. Do you know all the stuff that we do every single day without even thinking? And those stuff make us who we are. I often say to people, write down the things that you did automatically for the last 7 days. Look at what comes up. That's who you are. So if you don't have reading a book, if you don't have meditating, if you don't have, I don't know, if what you want is to make, but you have to understand that it's in the repetition, it's in the habit. And I am saying this as a student going through it myself. And as I'm getting the fruits of what I'm working on right now, I am so excited. I am so excited. So I am so happy that you took time to develop that. There's another thing that I also want you to develop, which is again, amongst the basic stuff that Source is bringing to us as the absolute truth, is to talk about the fourfold beings. What are the fourfold beings and why is it important?
Humans were designed with 4 aspects, 4 portions. Spiritual, first and foremost, because remember, you're a spirit inside of a human encasement, a body. When someone passes away, light energy leaves them, they become inanimate. So that's spirit. Then there's your emotional aspect. This is really what communicates probably the most directly with, your spirit communicates with all of your aspects, but your emotional is that feeling mechanism. That really differentiates us from other beings. Emotions, we feel them so intensely. And for some of us, that is the source of a lot of our power in the physical. Then you have the physical, which is, of course, your body, your physical vessel. And then at the base is your mental. So your mental now, your brain is this supercomputer. The computer was designed after the brain. So if you really start to get into understanding the habits that you've created, right, they get anchored in your brain, but it's really supposed to be that the spirit trickles down all the information and then your brain processes it, disseminates it, and then you might take some actions through the physical. There are specific things that you can do to assist each aspect of yourself. Meditation is a big one for the spiritual. For the physical, of course, exercise. You gotta move. You gotta move. It's every single, like brushing your teeth, taking a shower, exercise. That's how it needs to be. You don't have to go hard, couple days, but some sort of movement. And then, of course, for the emotional, you have things like release letters, because emotions can get trapped. They can get lodged, right? They can become unprocessed. And when things are unprocessed, they stay within us. That's how people have grudges. That's how people have resentments, right? These are lingering feelings from way back when that are completely irrelevant right now.
Yeah.
But because people are so used to it living in their bodies, now they begin to move through life with those dictating their actions. And that's not the thing. But another thing is dis-ease can manifest in the physical. So that dis-ease through emotions, right? Through your spirit trying to help you to course correct into what it truly came here to do. Sometimes that manifests in physical ailments. So you're looking at each of these aspects because it's a communication device from your spirit of what it is that's happening with you. And then your mind is this amazing tool that you get to use. It helps you to communicate, helps you to analyze, helps you to problem solve, but it wasn't meant to run the show. And so you'll always be limited if you only rely on your mind. Your mind really can only do what it can with what information it already has. Whereas the spirit is connected to infinite knowledge, to higher consciousness. Now, in our society, we're trained to really rely on the mental. And so people find very hard now to shift into something that they can't see, they can't hear, they don't fully understand it. Science hasn't fully even embraced all of it, but it's happening, right? We're understanding that there's more to this. Even in the medical field, doctors are understanding that sometimes you get a heart transplant and the soul said, the body says, no, we reject it. That's what happens. It's not up to the doctors. They're the assistants, but the body, the spirit gets to choose, just like the spirit will choose when it's time for them to leave. So the 4 aspects is really just an easy way for you to check yourself, for you to make sure that you are in balance, that you feel good, and that you are regularly doing the maintenance necessary, because as a human, you'll pick stuff up, you'll have experiences. Sometimes some of us are empaths, we absorb things. Right? So you do have to have some process of maintaining your vehicle the same way you maintain a car, your house. You care for all of these things. And so you need to do the same thing for your human vessel.
We want the Range Rover, the Ferrari, the whatever. But this main vehicle that we have, our body, we never think about maintaining it.
Some people do, but it's one-sided, right? They might focus on the appearance of the physical, but really the disruption is coming from maybe the emotional, right? Or it's really that you need to clear some subconscious thoughts in your mental that are contributing to your body looking a certain type of way. So it allows you to investigate the root cause of all of the discomforts and issues you might be experiencing, particularly with yourself.
Earlier, you mentioned your relationship with your man, that I have the honor and the privilege to often have a call with him. What can you tell us about love through that relationship? When we come to the level of divine union, where you meet your soulmate, you have 2 things. Number 1, you think, soulmate, oh my God, everything is going to be fine. We're going to be lovey-dovey and kiss and honey. But you also have, if I speak for myself, those moments of clarity and understanding that I wouldn't have chosen anyone else, right? So I'm really curious, and I want you to get specific because I know my boy is going to watch the episode. What are the things that often you ponder alone and you're like, wow, I'm really grateful?
Finding a partner was one of the reasons why I was seeking. I was tired of being alone. I mean, I was dating, but
The
it wasn't
streets.
anything serious. Yeah, it wasn't really much. And I knew of certain things that I wanted to experience in a relationship. Now, through cultural experiences, friends, like I hadn't really seen relationships where people were like really good, like on good terms, everything was good. And I know there's always issues, but a lot of what I witnessed was just not what I knew I wanted. And so I had painted a picture of what I thought I wanted through like movies and books and things,
Of
right?
course.
But what I ended up receiving was something that's like, first of all, books cannot define it, or anyone really. It's more of what you experience with somebody. This love, you don't understand why you love this person, because sometimes they do things you're like, I don't know.
That's not.
Right? But the surety in that we do have this mutual love, we are on the same page about our goals and our endeavors. There are some synchronicities in our life that we're like, okay, we can't deny it. But more than anything, Source had made it very clear that this is your soulmate. So I wasn't up on game about soulmates for many reasons. I didn't even believe in it because I didn't understand if somebody could ever truly accept me, all my all my, all my quirks, all those things. That is something that some of us put in our mind or accept as true in our minds, that, who's going to love me like this, right? And so when I met him, the unconditional love was like blatant, evidently clear. There was no doubt about it. And it went beyond the physical, looking into his eyes and seeing things, seeing myself, and really being like, holy crap, I've met you before. So I think that maybe not everybody experiences the I've met you before type of thing, but just the commitment that we receive or that you experience in a union, it says a lot, right? Because they're not going to be perfect. Everyone's going to come with their stuff, their baggage, and you have to be okay with that. But the goal really is to help each other expand. So when there is something that, is going on with me, he brings it up, and vice versa, right? We understand.
And sometimes you don't want it. You're like, not now,
you don't want it. Exactly. You're not trying to hear it. But it's like, who best to hear it from than your own person? Because they're not telling it to you to shame you. They're telling it to you because they know you can be better. They know that this shift is going to allow you to expand, which allows us to expand. It's a team effort. When he succeeds, we succeed, right? So I don't see anything as separate when it comes to us. And from the minute that we met, we never had any issues with joining our lives. So eventually, we'll expand into marriage and all of that. That's the on paper thing. But our souls are already in a divine union. So it's been really exciting to experience someone who is all up in this. I didn't have to really explain much of myself. I got to bring all of me, my younger self, my older self. And then it also helps that the family situation is pretty easeful. So there are signs. Now, granted, it's not always going to be peachy, but if you guys are solid in your relationship and you present a united front, you're on the same page about your goals of what you want to co-create, right? It should be a co-creation.
Yes.
It's all going to be good. It's all going to work out. But yeah, stuff is going to hit the fan. You're going to be triggered. There'll be nights where you're like, why did I pick this person? But I know who he is and he knows who I am. And I think that level of confidence makes us really happy in the experience that we're having together.
Thank you for sharing all that. And I get to know you a little bit deeper. So now I would love to know, what are you working on now on your business? What is exciting? You already mentioned the centers.
I'm opening a healing and wellness center. It's called Omni Healing and Wellness Center in Amelia, Ohio. And so my partner and I, we are building that. That'll be opening relatively soon. We also have a real estate development company. So we work with other individuals to build whatever they desire: family entertainment centers, wellness centers, retreat centers, wellness, all these different types of things, houses. So that's been a lot of fun getting to explore what we can build. I'm a spiritual life coach, Reiki master, and business consultant. It's been really interesting to combine those two, because I said when I was in corporate, I'm like, why is everybody feeling kind of soulless? Like there's no true intention here. But I've been able to weave my experience now to help people in, whether it's this industry or any industry, create businesses that allow them to have the financial freedom that they desire. So I have quite a bit going on, but I think for the sake of helping people on a one-on-one basis, I also really enjoy doing that. I love helping people create amazing, exciting lives. Like, how juicy can we make it? I'm here for it. I'm here for it all.
Great. So where can people find you?
Yeah, you can find me at harmonyvibecoaching.com. If you're also interested in business consulting, you can find me there as well. And then on socials at Harmony Vibe Coaching.
We are getting close to the end of this beautiful, wonderful conversation. What is one thing that you want to leave the audience with?
It doesn't matter how bad of a situation that you think you're in, or how far you feel like you've strayed, or maybe the relationships that you no longer have. You can choose at any time to create something else, something better. And the minute that you decide and surrender to the fact that you don't have all of the answers in that present moment, but the answers will come. And so I just wanted to say that because I know a lot of people are struggling, are hurting, are trying to figure it out, are in relationships they don't like. But when you accept, first of all, that there's help available, right? You can go and see it. If you see a podcast like this, there's a reason. Everything that happens from that point on that you decide is all in alignment with what you decided you wanted. So if you see things that way, it becomes more of an adventure and not how to get out of this hell that you might be experiencing. So it can get better. It will get better. And the universe absolutely loves you, and they have not forgotten about you.
Kiah, husband, thank you for being on the show. It was a pleasure to discuss with you. Guys, make sure to tune in and follow her everywhere.